Irishman and the Swede walked into a bar. What resulted was many racially charged jokes and the formation of a podcast about fantasy literature, current affairs, anything that piqued our interest. The only constant was that we constantly went off topic and on the tangents. Hello and welcome to Tangential Diatribe. My name is Ronan V. With me as always is Leif Jor. Leif, how are you?
I'm fine. Tangentials? Good. How dare you, good sir?
That means...
I have no
what?
idea.
Good. It's been a long time. We've had a lot going on as of the rest of the world. Also, Leif lives very far away, so yeah, it's hard to get to. But we're back.
You make it sound like I live in the woods or something. On a mountaintop.
You live in the sticks, mate.
Do I?
And sticks are made from wood, so you do live in the woods in a way.
Nah. I think it's like 2 stops on the train. 3.
That wasn't a deep thought, but I feel the way I said it and the way I looked off into space made it seem like it was a deep thought.
I'm out here writing my novel, drinking whiskey.
Yeah. Father to a cat, husband to a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah. And a tiny would-be assassin with a Nerf gun.
Yeah. Good times. So this week we're gonna I presume we both read a book at least since last time.
Books?
Yeah.
I don't read. What? It's only nerds who read. What? Why?
All right. You listen. Audiobooks, right?
Yeah.
You do audiobooks.
Definitely.
I don't do audiobooks.
Why?
I can't wrap my head around it because I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's ostensibly the same thing, right?
No.
No?
Well, podcasts are more like everyday speech, and a book is a different... It's easier to follow everyday speech, generally.
Okay.
Because they don't paint a picture while they're talking.
Okay. And so when you're listening to an audiobook, are you doing anything else?
Yeah, but it depends on the book, and it depends on what. So, back in days when I started listening to audiobooks, it was because I was Papa Lady, and when the kid is small, he basically has to look at it to make sure that it doesn't jump off a cliff.
Okay, sorry.
Constantly never blink.
Sorry, for anybody who's listening who isn't Swedish,
but
Papa Lady doesn't mean he went through a brief period of becoming a transsexual. Papa Lady, that's what it sounds like.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's just parental leave.
Parental leave, yeah.
Yeah, parental leave.
And so you look at the baby, don't barely blink, and like make sure that it's fine.
Yeah.
But the baby is too young to even do anything, right? So there's not much interaction. Maybe you throw a ball if you're crazy, but at one point the kid doesn't even catch the ball. Yeah. But
what?
I don't know. Anyway,
you have a baby and you throw a ball at the baby.
Yeah, and the baby goes goo goo gaga and points and doesn't do anything with it.
And in the baby's unformed mind, it's like, why is my daddy throwing balls at me?
Yeah.
I can't catch shit right now.
I'm training, I don't know, you gotta be a soccer star. No, but yeah, so I had one ear with the audiobook in, just to keep my mind occupied during that period. And since then, I've come to like audiobooks. But it took a pretty long adjustment period, maybe 3 books.
To teach yourself to...
Yeah, to even see the pictures in your head the same way. And you can't do... So, and then I went into like doing the dishes.
Yeah.
And I would listen to audiobook because that's a simple task, kind of. And when I, on my bike or travel to and for work
I get that.
That's fine. But I can't do... 2 things you can't do. You can't sit still and do nothing when you listen to audiobooks because it doesn't work as reading. Then you stop listening. It's weird. Like you can for a short period of time, but then you drift off.
Like your internal monologue overpowers the book?
Maybe. So it's better to actually be on a bike than
sitting
still. And you can't do something too complex. So you can't
tie a difficult
play
knot.
chess at the same time. Like it's, it's not gonna work.
Okay.
And if the book is too visual, I would say that, then it's also hard. Or I have a harder time with...
Too visual, too descriptive?
Yeah, and too outlandish. So if it's more descriptions of ships and planets and alien races, things you're not usually normally seen, then it's harder. But if it's like a sword, yeah, okay, anybody can picture a sword or a building or whatever. But it's if it's things you're not usually seeing, then it's harder to.
Okay.
Then you have to concentrate more, right?
So I was thinking about finally going audiobooks. I don't think I've ever listened to an audiobook. Maybe I've tried, I can't remember. But I presumed it was like a podcast. And my problem with podcasts is some podcasts, I listen to every word.
Yep.
But a lot of podcasts, it's almost background noise.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
But there is some really, really good audiobook readers that, and it makes a huge difference.
Depending on the genre, do you find more male or female readers or authors, or what do you call them, voices?
Yeah, voices. I kind of like, if the main character is female, I want a female reader, and same.
Yeah, okay.
But then they sometimes read all the characters, and sometimes they're different authors. They're like two doing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So, okay. And there's even a couple of books that have. So it's almost every character in the book is a different reader. And then the next step is the action play. What's it called? Where they add action dramatic music and stuff.
Oh, shit. Okay. So it's almost like...
theater thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like those.
Radio theater.
Yeah. I don't like those because it's really weird to hear like swords in the background.
Yeah, okay. Stuff. I've listened to a lot of radio plays and I like that format.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I think it's called, what's it called? Something audio. Yeah, I don't remember. I only listened to two. And one was okay because it was an assassin action-y book.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense. But when it's more political, I don't want to hear people walking in the background. When
okay. I understand that. I might give it a go. One of the things I thought, if I'm just listening to something, I might lose focus and then miss a bit. But then I was thinking, when I read, sometimes my brain trails off and I'll find I'm a couple of chapters down and have to go back. Yeah. So it's not too dissimilar.
No, every now and then it happens to me, but then I just go skip back, basically.
Yeah.
30 seconds, especially if it's something important. Sometimes I listen to that twice or 3 times.
What's a good audio voice? I presume not too soothing.
Yeah. So there's a couple readers, I think. For instance,
what makes a good voice for you?
It's hard to if they can give the different characters distinctive voices without being annoying, that must be one of the most highly rated skills for me. I heard that the Brandon Sanderson's audiobooks should be really good, and that guy reading those is supposed to be good. I like the guy who reads the Dresden Files. He's pretty good. Might be the same guy, actually.
I've heard the guy who does the Dresden books is very good.
Yeah.
But apparently, you did the last Dresden book as an audiobook, did you?
Yep.
Was that different?
Yes, because
was it you that told me that it wasn't good?
No, so that's because of the book.
Yeah, okay, there's too much going on.
Yeah, there's too much battles, and battles become like a driving scene in a car chase in a movie.
Yeah.
The first 30 seconds are interesting, the last 30 seconds are interesting, but then there's like 5 minutes of it that's like, it's a road.
Yeah, too much going on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What have you been reading? Read anything recently?
Yeah. I finished Blood Meridian.
How was it? Should I read it? Would you recommend it to me?
So the writer is freaking awesome. It's Cormac McCarthy. I think this is before The Road. And he...
Chronologically. He didn't write it before The Road.
Wasn't it? I think this is a pretty old book.
Is it?
No? I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know. But his style of writing is amazing. He writes really well. But he's also very weird. So, for instance, like everything he describes is... Like, he's a master of bleakness, right? So if he...
Is he?
Yeah, but he writes like...
The Road's an uplifting story of father and son on a road trip, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just enjoying life and walking in nature.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit dystopian thrown in.
Yeah.
Alright. No, but like he would say my random example that's not from the books, but it's basically he would say write stuff like this exquisite purple in the lavender bushes mixes so well with the blood from the intestines of these kids that we murdered. That's the type of thing he writes, but he writes it in a flowing way that it basically get blended in a little bit. And that's kind of cool, but also gratuitous.
God, he's old.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I always thought Cormac McCarthy was quite a young lad, but I think I get him confused with somebody else.
No idea. But yeah, so, and this is a Western. It follows a kid and on the later stages on the war with Mexico and scalping bounties and stuff like that. And there's some interesting characters. If it wasn't for the one character who is the judge and his main driving character, I think he's probably more driving than the kid. But I would not have liked the book. But that character throws in science, philosophy. I don't even know if it's a real character, if it's now I'm spoiling, but stuff like that. Like that's where all the funkiness comes in, all the questions, all the weird. Is this a demon, or is it a character behaving like a demon, or is it just a chaos factor? Like there's so many different things going on, and you have to interpret. And it's a good book. It is, but it's not for everybody. I would not recommend this for anybody who does not like blood and gore.
It's not about the blood and gore.
No, it's not. It's just a mask. It's almost hiding the real book. But it's if you're sensitive to those things, you should not look into this.
Okay.
So,
would you recommend it for me?
Yeah, I don't think you're sensitive to those
I think I am going to read it, actually.
Yeah. Thing is, it's one of them where you go, first half, I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. And then it's only there's a couple of pages in the first half, and it's like, okay, there's some other things going on. And then in the later end, it's like, now I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm starting to understand the pictures he's drawing, but I don't understand the book. I think I have to read it like more times, like 2 or 3 more times.
Okay.
Because then you start looking at, okay, so my ideas at the end of the book, can I apply them to the earlier examples that I didn't understand or didn't miss the connections, kind of? And then I have to interpret that this work with the ideas that I have about it. It's like a literary, what's it called? The things you're reading. English literature major thing, where you analyze every part of everything, every sentence.
Sure. You know? I did The Road back during my course a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I read it a couple of times, and I'm not a massive fan. It's one of those where I can go, "Wow, this is genius, this is brilliant," but it's not for me.
Okay, why?
It's just, I don't really like his style of writing. I don't like the fact he plays with grammar a bit too much for me.
Okay.
His lack of punctuation and things, but that's a deliberate thing in The Road.
Yeah.
It's just, The Road specifically, I can't remember if I've read anything else by him, but just the bleakness.
Yeah, but that's what I find awesome, that he has that as his layer, and then you have the father-son story, and then everything going around. That's perfect dystopian. He paints it so well, but there's still hope and love in there, and then there's...
Yeah, maybe...
And I love dystopian things, so that's why I like that. So I probably like The Road more than Blood Meridian.
Okay.
Because it's a Western. I don't like Westerns that much.
Yeah.
So
it's been a couple of years, but I remember reading The Road and thinking numerous times, I'm not enjoying this book.
Yeah.
But then going, I finished it.
Yeah.
You know, and then, cause I think I read it 2 or 3 times, I can't remember. But same sort of scenario each time was, this book is so bleak, it's making me upset. I don't really like this book, I don't like how he's writing. I finished it. Yeah. So he writes very well.
If I read good writers, the few images that they leave behind on intense scenes last with me for a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's one of them. I remember some Russian authors and stuff that their pictures are more vivid just by the language they use, or better.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
yeah.
I don't remember the same vivid pictures from fantasy books generally, I would say.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but it's just a stronger impression or something.
Yeah, okay. Maybe you just give it more weight because,
No, I don't think so. I think that the narrative drives the image making, and if it's well written, it becomes can push the boundaries a little bit more.
Okay.
I think. But I would say, like, I remember reading the what was it? Dostoevsky book. I don't remember which one. Maybe Brothers. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's a scene there where I remember super vividly. I don't remember anything else about the book almost.
Okay.
It's so weird. So yeah.
Russian authors in particular are, descriptive wise. Cormac McCarthy, Russian authors.
I'm not comparing the same.
No, I'm just thinking, like, the most famous Russian authors, there's a stoicism and a bleakness to Russian authors, but there's always beauty hidden within that. And it's almost as though, a flower in a gulag, the flower is more beautiful because it's in a gulag rather than in a field full of flowers. It wouldn't be as beautiful. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe it's just me who likes that for some reason.
No, like, maybe I should like Cormac McCarthy a bit more because I love the bleakness of... I find the bleakness of Russian authors is a bit different. It's a bit more matter of fact. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, good book.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Blood Meridian. Not exactly a new book, though.
No.
Yeah.
Not exactly fantasy either.
No.
Well, Western, maybe.
Yeah.
And it has fantastical elements.
Yeah. I think what is a fantasy book, broad strokes. Like, it's hard. It's very hard to define.
Yeah.
What is a fantasy book?
I think so too. Like, especially if you open up, like, you have genres, you have new styles, you have old, like even those, the Whisper of the Nightingale Floor or something like that. It's like an assassin, samurai, ninja story.
Okay.
Like, that could be fantasy. Like, it's kind of, they have super...
It's hard to say.
Abilities, like...
I think we're going to talk about it later, but the Times 100 list, there were a couple of books on there where I was like, is that fantasy? And then I was like, I guess it is, but...
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway.
That is an interesting list to be
It was. We'll get on to it. And
you? Have you been reading anything?
Thanks. I was waiting for that filling until I got that question. Didn't want to just launch into it myself. I've read a lot of books. I can't remember. Good book I just read, and it stuck in my mind because it made me think of Dresden. Simon Scarrow, the latest book. I've totally forgotten the name.
Okay.
Thanks. It's in the Cato and Macro series.
Okay.
Roman legionnaires back in the day. Obviously, back in the day. It'd be a bit weird if there weren't around now. That'd be sci-fi, would it? Legionnaire at a time.
The Eagle? Is that the first book?
Yeah, God, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
A very good book, but it's a serialization. It's basically following the career of Cato, who was an Opio to begin with, and then he's risen, and now he's a tribune.
I've never heard of these books. And
have you
like,
not?
How many? 16,
I think 17? It's the 17th I just read.
19.
19. Is it been
the
19?
Emperor's Exile. 12th of November 2020.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wait.
No.
18. Yeah, no, it's just added. I think Traitors of Rome makes more sense.
That's it, yeah. Excuse me.
I should probably look into this.
But they're very good. Yeah. It's, Bernard Cornwell.
Yeah.
So it's a bit in the same vein as like his Sharp books or whatever.
Yeah.
It's historical fiction.
Okay.
Not fantasy. There's no fantasy. Historical fiction.
Connie Gulden, same thing.
Yeah. Similar sort of
I love
thing.
This.
It's great though. These two. It's almost like it's that thing with Dresden, power escalation because you got to do something more.
Exactly.
But then books like this, you don't. It's like detective novels in a way.
Yeah.
It's a new case. It's familiar people. In this, they rise through the ranks.
Yeah.
So their access to power is a bit more. They're leading more men. Yeah. So the dynamic changes slightly. But not too much. But it's exactly the same.
If you like the formulaic version of it, you're still going to love all of them.
Absolutely. And he does enough that I've never lost interest. And you just told me there it's 18 books.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe 12? But then I was like, is it more? I couldn't remember. And I've read every single book.
Yeah.
Very, very good. But it made me think of Dresden. It's like that escalation you get in fantasy, where it's like the next book, the power level has to be a bit more and a little bit more. But it doesn't. Oh. And that's maybe Dresden would have been better if he had just stayed street level magician, case by case. There's enough there. Yeah. Didn't have to go to god level magic to hold our interest.
No.
Because it was well written. It was a good book. So these books, Simon Scarrow, they're fantastic. You have Cato, who's a little bit more intelligent. This book was a bit sad. I'll tell you why in a minute. It's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. It's in the blurb. Very, very good. Cato, Tribune, goes back to Rome. But again, the machinations behind the emperor, whatever. Yeah. He's blamed for something which isn't really his fault. People in power, whatever, and he's railing against it. He doesn't really want to be a soldier anymore. He has to go to Sardinia and quell another rebellion.
This is kind of funny. The Yahag assassin, Thieves Guild assassin thing is a fantasy series that's also 18 books.
Okay.
And that sounds exactly like the plot of those books. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well-trodden path.
Yeah. Stephen Brust.
Simon Scarrow, he's just a very good writer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done a couple of series. He's one of those prolific writers who just churns out a book. You say churn, like one every year, but it's always quality.
Yeah.
It's a quality book, and occasionally he goes off and does other things. Like he did the Young Blood series about Napoleon and Wellington, which is fantastic. Mm. He did the Blood and the Scimitar, which is the book I thought, remember we talked about it before when you read about the Siege of Malta.
Yeah.
Mm. I thought it was that book because he does a huge book about that. Okay. And it's standalone. It's brilliant. It's just there's not much I can say about it. It's about a couple of legionnaires who get caught up in the machinations of power. They do legionary stuff. Yeah. They're both very good characters. They're very relatable.
Can you stop doing this?
What?
You talk about a book series and all of a sudden I have 50 more books I need to read.
It's the good thing with this is he knows his stuff, Simon Scarrow.
Yeah.
Like he's literally been invited by premier people around the Levant, Middle East to go and study with them or write books in that area because they've read his books and they've gone, you know your stuff.
Nice.
But he writes it in such a accessible way.
Does he add actual historical tiny pages with?
He does. I
like that.
He do, I don't think he did it in this book, but normally he explains what a Roman legion is, divisions of power and stuff.
And this battle was actually like this.
He usually, again, I don't think he did it in this one, but usually afterwards he adds a little afterword that says the events depicted in this did happen. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Obviously, Cato and Macro are fictional characters. But generally, everybody else in it is a real character.
Nice. Yeah, that's the same way as Conor Gullen. I love that.
Yeah. So. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. He's the sad thing in this is, and it'll change now because in the next book, Macro's gone. He's too old. He's retired.
Okay.
So he's gone to run a pub.
That sounds like a fitting end.
Yeah, but he's back in Londinium, in Britannia.
Has he?
They ran into Boadicea.
Have they the pub owner accounted for Corona and that snows people out anymore?
Yeah. It's just a very good book.
Yeah.
It's very well written, and there's no massive escalation of power.
Yeah.
And I say he churns out a book, but this series has been consistent. Yeah. He's written like young adult novels based on the characters, which I've read a couple. They're fine. It's just very good. Yeah. Just Dresden, you should have done this.
Yeah. But I think I actually gonna read this next. I'm really high up on my list.
And they're all not too long. Like you can bang one out in 2 days.
Yeah.
Easy.
Nice.
Fantastic. Anyway, would I recommend it to you? Yes, I'd recommend the whole series to everybody.
Yeah.
It's very accessible.
of all the historical writers, who would you rate the highest? Like, is he higher than Conor Golden? Is he higher than the other ones?
I don't think you can get higher than Bernard Cornwell.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, okay.
And writing style wise, whatever. Oh, do you know what? I'm just thinking of the Pillars of the Earth.
Yeah. Okay.
Pillars of the Earth. That's by
Ken Follett.
Ken Follett. Yeah. Pillars of the Earth, just for the scope. Oh Jesus.
For me, the first 3 books in the Caesar trilogy from Conor Golden is really good. They're not even that good. They just drags you in.
Yeah, sure.
In a powerful way.
Have you read The Pillars of Earth, Ken Follett?
No, I don't think I have.
Shit, that's...
it's one of them, you know, I think I have the book somewhere.
Yeah.
I haven't read it. It's like, I'm going to get to this, you know.
It's a bit sad because...
It's the building of
the cathedral.
Yeah.
Who did? I don't know if it's Ken Follett. Who's the other guy? He wrote the last books with Terry Pratchett before he died, the Far Earth series. Who wrote that with him?
W something, isn't it?
No. Who was it?
No. Let me check.
Hey, Ken Follett's fantastic, and he just released a new one.
Oh, yeah.
The problem with books like that, or a series like that, is like that's a weighty tome.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to get into it, but that's beautiful. Who is he? Terry Pratchett and...
Neil Gaiman?
No.
That's a good
That's a Good Omens.
Yeah.
No, it's the Long Earth and Long Mars and
okay.
series, which are very good. Come on.
Unless you've written 500 books, it's kind of hard to...
Yeah.
Tiffany Arching is one.
No, look at us both looking this up.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
I got it. Okay. Stephen Baxter. Is it Stephen Baxter? Yeah. Anyway, Stephen Baxter did this... I don't think it is Stephen Baxter. I'm going to have to look this up because it's annoying me now.
There's another one who did English history, like longbow people and stuff like that. Like some... It's not Cromwell, somebody else. I like those series too. But they're not...
Stephen Lawhead.
Yeah.
He did Agincourt and all that. Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah.
No, it's not Stephen Baxter. Oh god, this is going to kill me.
Oh, well.
There was an author who wrote this series, and it's basically about 3 families.
Okay.
And it follows them from...
That sounds familiar.
From like the First World War.
And then...
Skips.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, god, who wrote that? It's really famous.
Yeah.
It's something B, isn't it?
Don't know. Me and names.
It'll come back to me.
Right.
But... Bernard Cornwell.
Yeah.
I think, because he's done so many different things, and anytime like Con Eagledon or even Stephen Lawhead did in his Agincourt, and Simon Scarrow, God, bloody flaming today. Names. They all reference Bernard Cornwell.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Or so what do you think?
I don't know. I think I need to read more of this. I always enjoy it, but I kind of read one off. It's used to be whenever I go on a vacation where I know I'm going to spend a lot of time by the pool, I used to always bring one historical, one fantasy, and one real book.
Okay.
So a real book, I mean...
we know what you mean.
Yeah,
You're ashamed of yourself.
No.
That's
but
fine.
like something popular science thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, the good thing with like Simon Scarrow is it's one a year, you know, and it comes around. Read it, because I did all the Bernard Cornwell. Like I did all the Sharp. I did who did the Hornblower? That's not Bernard Cornwell.
No,
that's somebody else. Anyway, I did all the Sharp. I did the Hornblower, and then I did all Bernard Cornwell's. He does the Uhtred Kingdoms of something. A book. It's about the Saxons, medieval England or whatever, and the Vikings and Wessex and whatever, the formation of England, I think it was. Yeah, because that's still going. I think it's a TV show now as well. But so I did them all, that sort of thing at one time. and then I've read everything Stephen Lawhead's done as well.
I'm looking forward to... Now I'm skipping totally.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to traveling through your land, your home country, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they're coming to Irish
Oh, they're doing
DLC.
Ireland?
Yeah.
Get out. Yeah. I'm going to get that book.
Yeah.
I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
But
Are you a samurai?
yeah, it's very good. The combat is
it
very,
hard?
very good. No, it was hard.
Okay.
And then I don't know what happened. The combat just clicked.
Okay.
And now it's easy as hell. Maybe it'll get harder as well.
Yeah.
But the combat, you can just... Initially, it was really good, satisfying when you'd go through like a fort or something.
Yeah.
And you challenge everybody and just like boom, 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 parry everything. But now it's just, just kill everybody easy. Maybe I'm too high powered, and maybe it'll
maybe you're just
get
a
harder.
god gamer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, Leif, as we're going off. Ooh, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
That's something I noticed the other day. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Joe Abercrombie.
Okay.
Does this, but a lot of authors do it. It's when you're in a fantasy book.
Yeah.
But they have like a little notation at the start of a chapter, which is a quote.
Yeah.
That it means something to that.
Yeah.
But they use something from the real world.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. Does that annoy you a bit?
Depends on the quote.
Well, here's the thing.
As long as it's not science-based.
Yeah, but doesn't that take you out a little bit?
Like, if they talk about gravity and it's fantasy, maybe I'm like...
But why wouldn't you just take the quote, reword it, and ascribe it to some druid or bard or something? Like, Catherine Kerr does that, because she has Cadwallon the druid, and he always has little notations about things.
Okay.
I
it would be
understand.
better, of course. Like, doesn't Tolkien do the same?
I don't know.
Like,
maybe Joe Abercrombie doesn't, but
songs.
there's quite a few authors who do it.
Yeah.
Like, they'll throw in a line of Shakespeare, or like from a famous general or something, but it's from our world. How do you square that with, you're in a fantasy world, what are you doing there?
Yeah, well...
Like, I'm aware that, you took inspiration from this quote. That's fantastic, and it's meaningful to this. Yeah. But why would you not just put that into your own words?
Yeah, well, then they get plagiarized. No money from
I think Shakespeare would be alright with it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've never been one of them. I almost always skim over quotes in the beginning like that, or like in Tolkien the song lyrics. I'm
fuck that, yeah.
Poetry next. It's
good for you, buddy, but no, I'm alright.
I like read a couple of sentences. If it doesn't grab me, it's like, nope, next.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm here for the book.
Oh. So you're okay with it?
Yeah, I kinda...
In a fantasy book, though?
It never bothered me, because if it would have, I would have thought about it before.
Oh, okay.
Kinda.
It bothered me in the past, but it's not like, know, for God's sake, fuck this book, I'm not reading this anymore. You've taken me right out of whatever realm. I don't know, it's just something I was thinking about. I find it weird why you would do that.
Yeah. Well, people do.
Are you showing off a bit?
Well, it depends. Like, if you have a cool quote that's not in Facebook memes, then sure. Like, why not throw it in? Like, some of those quotes deserve more visibility, right?
Yeah, I guess, but still, like, I don't know. It was just a wee minor thing. Leif, should we get on to the main topic?
Yep.
So the Times, Time magazine released 100 best fantasy books of all time.
What did a list, at least? And the list is...
Well, they did. Basically, what they did, so they invited the panel leading authors, Tommy Adeyemo, Cassandra Clare, Diana Gabaldon, Neil Gaiman, Marlon James, N.K. Jemisin, George R. R. Martin, and Sabah Tahir, to pick their 100 favourite books. Yeah. Now, initially, when I read the list, I was like, this is freaking bullshit. But then I read on, and those authors could only pick from 250 books that had been nominated by the panel from Time magazine.
Yeah, and that was like 15 people or something.
Yeah. So the books that they could pick from was a limited field anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And that's basically it.
That's bullshit.
So the criteria for the books was originality, ambition, artistic, creative, and public perception and impact on the genre. So that's pretty much it. There's been a lot of fallout over this.
A lot of discussion, but so first of all, it's just I think it's mainly the wording of the list, like the title of it.
The 100 best fantasy books of all time.
If you say a cool list that you should check because it's some interesting books here, like that, then it wouldn't be in a discussion, right?
It's like the Time magazine going, we're the best, and like this is definitive because we say it is.
Like I find the list interesting.
Like just in one sentence.
Yeah.
What's your take on this list?
At first, I was like, "This is bullshit."
Yeah. At first, I was surprised, then I was petrified. Yeah. I kept thinking...
Oh, God.
Sorry, go on.
But then I did a retake and I was like, okay, so it's a decent list. I got some interesting ideas to read from it.
Sure.
So it serves its purpose. But would I say, as the title says, it's the 100 best fantasy books of all time? Hell no. And even the... books in it doesn't make sense. Like there's so many things you can nitpick about.
Yeah.
But my main problem with it is that you have 2 books from the same series of books.
Yeah.
In the same list, but I rather have another book of the same author or another book totally.
Absolutely. There's a couple of very notable with that. Very notable. Yeah. One in particular, which made me actually a little bit furious.
Which one?
Do we want to? Okay,
let's go into it.
Yeah, straight off the bat.
First of all, the books is
they're all good books,
and they're added in chronological order from the 9th century.
Yeah,
so it's a lot of like old things, but at the same time, go.
There's some old things, but the majority of it is quite recent.
Yeah, and one was like a couple of weeks before.
Yeah. There's a couple in here which I'm like,
come on.
There's no freaking way. This list for me reads like it was compiled by people who do not read fantasy. That's what I got from this. This for me, I don't know what the original 250 list was, but there are such notable absentees on this list that this is not a list for people. This is not a list compiled by people who read and love fantasy. This is a list compiled by people who have heard of books that are in the fantasy genre and are famous in the fantasy genre.
Yeah.
That's what I get from this.
Yeah.
Just because there's such omissions that it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing, like a lot of things made me angry about this. The thing that made me furious is Terry Pratchett is on this.
Okay.
But Terry Pratchett is on this for The Wee Men. Which, great book. It's a young adult, sort of splinter of the Discworld series.
Yeah, not the books he's famous for.
Holy shit. The Wee Men? The Discworld series.
Yeah.
Guards, Witches, Mort.
Yeah, Mort. Like, everybody who's ever read fantasy has been recommended Mort at some point.
It's outrageous.
Is Mort the best fantasy book ever? No. But should you read it? Yes.
Yeah, and if you were to pick a Terry Pratchett book.
Yeah, probably one of them. Like
it's frankly... It made me angry because... If you were to come at this list and not know fantasy and not know anything about it and go, oh, these are the 100 best books. Yeah. Oh, Terry Pratchett. Oh, I've heard his name because the orangutans in his hat. I'll give this a read. No. How dare you? But The Wee Men. It's fine, but it's young adult.
Yeah.
And is that Terry Pratchett at his peak? Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. That's... outrageous. Sorry, you go on.
And I 100% agree. And for me, it's mainly the omissions. No. The biggest annoying part for me was the 2 books in the series. I cannot understand that at all.
Okay, go.
Like, why would you not have Lord of the Rings, 1 book? No, you have 2 of the books.
No, you have 3 of the books.
All 3 on it?
All 3 are on there. The third one is written by two people. For a start, is written by two people.
Yeah,
only the first half was completely written by J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
The second half was written by his son, and the third book is not good. Well, come at me, but the Battle of the Shire can fuck off.
Also, there's way too many young adult books.
Sorry, can we, just while we're on Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, you put the third book in the trilogy ahead of The Hobbit. You don't put The Hobbit in, but you put the 3 books from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, you put the 3 books as one.
No, that's what you should do.
I don't think The Hobbit should be there. But at the same time,
The Hobbit
should be there for influence and stuff.
Yeah, I'd put The Hobbit in before I put in Lord of the Rings.
I don't. But, and then, like...
Absolutely J.R. Tolkien should be in there.
Definitely. 100%.
But 3 times?
Yeah.
And one of those books he only half wrote? Come on.
And why should there be multiple books from the same series at all? That annoys...
Alice Adventures in Wonderland? Fine.
Yeah.
Through the Looking Glass as well? What are you doing with yourself?
I don't know, like... There's 42 of the books is from the last 10 years.
It's mind-blowing.
So the best 100 best fantasy books, 42 of them from the last 10 years.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, a book that we both really like, and an author we really like, Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter is on there. I love that book.
Yeah.
I could name...
It's not top 100.
40 books, which are more influential.
Definitely.
And I'm not going to say better, because I think the Rage of Dragons is brilliant.
So,
one of the best things to come out in ages.
I think Rage of Dragons might have come in from the influence on the genre.
Yeah.
Because of it's not a white Arthurian... it's different. It's kind of the new school, but still not as heavy as other books. So it's not... I even saw... this is interesting. I saw your favorite book of recent reading.
Right.
Was recommended by... why is that not on the list?
What was the book?
The Space Necromancer.
I'll tell you why that's not on the list. It's garbage.
What was it, Gideon the Ninth?
Yeah. And that's not even fantasy.
The guy wrote like an essay on why Gideon the Ninth should be part of this list.
Right. I don't even think Gideon Ninth is fantasy. All right. It's fantasy in the same way that Dune is fantasy. So, no. Now, you got space travel on there. You can't be fantasy. I'm sorry. No.
Portal magic. Portal fantasy is space travel.
It's a different sort of thing.
Yeah.
Can I just go through a couple of omissions?
Yep.
That I find astounding.
Authors or books?
Authors.
Yeah.
Just authors, because...
Stephen Erickson?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. Robin Hobb.
Yeah, that's probably number 1 for me.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But I can go further back. No, Robert Howard. Are you talking about like influential and impact?
Yeah.
The Conan series?
Yeah.
Everything he did? There's no William Burroughs. There's no
Fritz Lieber.
Yeah, Fritz Lieber.
Yeah.
Like
they
pioneers.
They were driving the genre when the genre wasn't even big.
Yeah. Pioneers.
Yeah.
Joe Abercrombie, Brent Weeks.
Yeah, Abercrombie.
Scott Lynch.
Yeah.
Like any one of those could have been on there, and it's fine. Yeah. There's 2 names which agree with me or don't. What?
Cook, Black Company. Grimdark.
There's no David Gemmell.
Gemmell? Who? I never heard of this person.
Literally the father of a genre of fantasy. Literally.
I thought we would go through one podcast without Gemmell.
I'm just saying, on this, you're telling me that David Gemmell doesn't get a book. Fine. Okay, he doesn't. But no David Eddings? I'm not a big fan. When I was a kid I was.
Yeah.
And David Eddings was huge.
You did leaps and bounds for the fantasy genre in the 90s.
Yeah. KJ Parker, Django Wexler.
Yeah.
Like, I hate him, but he writes very well.
Yeah.
And at one stage, he's been like #1 Times bestseller numerous times. Yeah. Terry Brooks.
Yeah?
No, Terry Brooks.
No. I even would like to see... There's only I think 2 books that's not released in English as first language.
Yeah.
That's also something that's a huge omission, I think. Now, is there no good books out there? No, like there's
a few though.
Like I was saying, what's it called, Over the Nightingale Floor, as like a ninja.
Sure.
Thing, but they have fantastical elements. I probably argue to have it on this list.
Yeah. What's the worst book on here?
Worst book, yeah.
Because I know for me what it is that just shouldn't be here. Apart from the J.R. Tolkien, the third Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, or whatever.
I have no idea. I'm looking through the list now, but there's some I haven't read. But
okay.
And for you?
Obviously, I asked that question just so I could answer it myself. This book, it's not a bad book, but like Evan Winter, I can see the argument for it. Because it's the best thing I've read in quite some time in that kind of genre. I don't agree that it's because the thing that I liked about Evan Winter is almost that it's a throwback to how fantasy used to be for me. And it's a bit different to modern fantasy, so I don't really agree with you. But I can see your point. Yeah. Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, or whatever her name is.
I hate that book.
It's not good.
No, it's not.
But fine. But
it's a very popular in its young adult.
But again, it's like I don't understand where these books.
Because it sold much.
It's a list made by. You're a big fan of him, N.K. Jemisin.
Yeah.
Fine. Does he warrant 2 books?
No.
Right.
And I would like more of the classical, different things, like Watership Down, like that type of book.
Watership Down is in there.
Yeah, I know it's in there, but I want more of those books that actually...
Yeah. See, Watership Down I had a bit of trouble with.
Why?
Because, it's fantasy, but it's... Is it?
Yeah, but that's the thing. So what's the scope? Like, I think there's a lot of those. Like, and then if that's there, then you should have Murakami. Maybe. Is that
you
fantastic?
Should have Murakami.
Yeah.
You 100% should have Murakami.
So, so this list is defunct.
I never really thought of Watership Down as fantasy. Obviously, maybe it is. Yeah. There's no Alan Dean Foster in here. And I'm sorry, right? Like, it may be a little bit influential and whatnot, but Philip Pullman and those books are not that great. And even if they are, he doesn't warrant 2 mentions.
You know who's on here twice?
Who? Neil Gaiman?
No, the books that you just mentioned. Jemisin books.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They were awesome. They won awards.
But they did win awards. I didn't particularly like them, but they won awards, and I can see why they're on here. But 2?
No.
Tigana by Guy Gavro K is on there. Yeah. And I think it should be. Yeah. But it also speaks to what this list is. Yeah. Where it's like, if you just Googled fantasy, 100 fantasy that you need to read, or 100 influential fantasy, that's going to come up. You know?
The Poppy War and the Dragon Republic, same thing. You maybe could argue for the Poppy War. Yeah. But it's not the top 100. No. It's a good book, but it's not the top 100.
Where's I was just thinking about it just there now. We're just bashing this. I think I've read a lot of 100 best lists, and for me this is the worst I've ever read. Yeah. I think it's horrendous.
The worst part is that because it's time, give it more credence than you should.
Where's Gulliver's Travels?
Yeah.
2 Lewis Carroll books? 2 C.S. Lewis books?
Yeah.
Like, fine. They are, like, you can understand Lewis Carroll, C.S. Lewis, of their time, influential. Yeah. But you read them now, like, they're not that great.
And there's Circe by Madeline Miller. I just read it. I loved it. It was good. Mm. But that's almost into the historical... then you have a whole more genre that you open up.
Here's the thing. Yeah. So Arabian Nights is in there. It's the first book. Yeah. If you're throwing in Arabian Nights, I want the Iliad.
Yeah, exactly.
I want the Odyssey.
Yeah.
You're telling me Odyssey isn't historical fantasy?
No, that's like 100%
it's not historical fantasy, it's fantasy.
That's a portrayal of his life.
But if Arabian Nights is in there...
I know. So I think, if anything, they got more views on this list than they expected just because it's bullshit.
It's a terrible list.
Everybody's like clicking the link. It's like, what? And then sending it to somebody else and going...
Do you know what? It's not even... Like, we obviously have our opinions. And one day we should sit down and hash out with the top 100 fantasy books.
That'd be nice, yeah.
We absolutely should. We should hash it out. Because I think we'd come up with a balanced list.
Yeah.
Because we both vary in what we like.
We have a few books we both agree wholeheartedly on, but then we have different tastes.
Absolutely. I think we should do that one day.
Yeah.
Our list would not be this list. I'm not saying this because it doesn't have authors I like. Because I think David Gemmell Legend should be on the 100 best.
Yeah.
I do. But I can also admit that I'm a bit biased.
Yeah.
And that's great. Where the frick is Magician by Raymond E. Feist?
Yeah.
Anyway. But that's not why I'm saying this list is garbage. This list is garbage just because of some of the books it has on it. And just... It really does read like somebody who does not like fantasy, and they've just Googled
most of it. Like a hipster.
Yeah,
this should be on because it's credibility, but I didn't read it. But just
it's horrendous. It's horrendous.
Oh, well. And how many of these books would you bring to your 100 list? It's still like
maybe like 30.
Yeah, I would probably maybe go 40. So there's good books, definitely good books. Like 30, 40, something like that. Yeah.
I think a big problem is like you go back to the beginning. I think you would have to discount things like the Arabian Nights. I think that's gone. I think you would have to limit it to things which are 100 years old, or maybe a little bit more, because otherwise you're just getting into. Like, you've got to include so much more. Then you're what? Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Exactly, plays with fantastic elements.
Do you know, you got to go into that. So I think you would have to start, almost like 100, turn of the century.
Yeah.
I think you would. Like, I think you would. Alice Adventures in the Wonderland, fine, but I wouldn't include it. That's fantasy before fantasy.
Yes, and there I would probably make like 10 books, or something, where you go, okay, this is the first step, then second step.
Okay.
So maybe
this is how we got to where we are.
Yeah, that.
No, Mr. Norrell and Jonathan Strange.
Yeah, even Blood in the Mist.
Don't know it.
It's early. I think it's. I don't know how old it is, but it's one of them that's like builds upon it.
But this list, no. I like 5 Children and It. I read that as a child, and fine. But did
it drive you into the fantasy genre?
No, it's a good book, but I don't think you're allowed it. I think for fantasy, you'd have to. I think you can only go back turn of the century.
Yeah,
I think so because. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Well,
sorry, I'm just. We're both just looking at lists, and I'm just like, I can't. Like Ursula Le Guin. Yeah, should be on there
definitely.
But one book.
Yes, or like one mention for the main series.
Yeah. And if she's on there, then what's the woman's name? LeMay, not LeMay. Who am I thinking of? Do you know what I'm thinking of?
Well, I'm thinking of a different thing. I'm thinking of the writer of The Cleft who won the Oscar. No, not Oscar.
What's Catherine Kerr?
She's in there, I think.
Is she?
Yeah. No, there was Anne McCaffrey I was thinking of.
Anne McCaffrey. Is Anne McCaffrey in this?
Yeah.
Because that's who I'm thinking of. Oh, she is. Yeah. Because if, it's not good, man. Like, it's... I think this is the worst. Remember we did that... We did do top 10.
Yeah.
A fantasy you must read.
Exactly.
That was a better list than this.
Like, could... Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, From this list, I could recommend 2 people more books.
Yeah.
Because I honestly never read any of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is horrible. But it's an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah.
But it almost feels clickbaity.
It is.
Yeah. And I expect higher from...
Yeah.
They're not the best. They're not the economists, but still. Like,
right. George R.R. Martin, right, who has won numerous awards, is one of the most celebrated writers of our time, has less books than J.K. Rowling. And I'm not saying about that, because fine, J.K. Rowling, whatever, great. But are J.K. Rowling's books better than George R.R. Martin's?
No.
Like, she sold more, sure, but no.
Yeah.
Leif, we gotta call it.
Okay.
We gotta call it. So would you recommend this list to your friends?
Yes, for a laugh and giggle.
Yeah. It's outrageous. Give me your last take on it.
Too many young adult books. And it's not enough fantasy for a fantasy list.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I got nothing else to say. I'm just flabbergasted.
Right.
Terry Pratchett is probably happy to be on the list, but maybe not for that book.
No.
All right. I've been Ronan V. Thanks very much for listening. We'll be back again with the new episode quicker than it took us to get this one out.
Yeah, sounds like a goal.
Yeah,
let's do
all
it.
Right. So I'm Ronan V. Thanks very much for listening. With me as always.
Have a nice one. Life out.
Okay. Oh, and sorry. Damn it. Thank you, Moses, for the theme music. And you can find us at tangentialdiatribe@gmail.com. Okay? And that's tangential, TANGENTAL, diatribe, as diatribe is spelled, @gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the list.